traveler, ancient and restless. I carve paths through solid rock and breathe life into barren lands. From the outside, I look like an unstoppable force, a master of my own destiny, bending the earth to my will. We tend to view ourselves exactly the same way. We see ourselves as the captains of our own lives, solely responsible for navigating the terrain, cutting our own path, and generating our own momentum. But carrying that heavy crown has a severe cost. If you believe you are entirely in control, then every failure is yours alone. We feel the crushing weight of every single decision, living in a constant state of low-grade panic that we might steer our ship off course. Now consider the river again. Is it actually deciding to bend around the mountain? Are you truly deciding where to flow? This is the dilemma of doership. The psychological agony we experience on a daily basis doesn't come from the physical work we do. It arises directly from the exhausting belief that we are entirely independent actors pulling all the levers. The exhaustion of the modern age stems directly from this misaligned sense of ownership, the heavy belief that we are the sole engineers of our own motion. To understand who is driving, we first have to look at what we are. The river calls itself water, but water is not a standalone substance. Its entire existence is conditional. It is a borrowed marriage between hydrogen and oxygen. Without those elements pulling together, water instantly ceases to exist. This relationship is bound by a rigid mathematical constraint, 2 parts to 1. Its identity hangs on a delicate chemistry it does not control. Human biology operates under these exact same rules. Our cells, our firing neurons, and our nervous systems are constructed from borrowed elements and pre-written biological codes we never asked for. Even our personalities are not self-made. Our social identities are built on a framework of external networks, childhood conditioning, and subconscious emotional cues we absorb from the people around us. When every component, from the hydrogen in our cells to the cultural habits in our minds, is a borrowed resource, the individual self begins to look less like a standalone entity and more like an emergent pattern created by those dependencies. If our very substance is dependent on outside forces, then every action we take is also dependent. Think about the physical mechanics of why a river actually turns. The water doesn't consciously decide to veer left. Its path is dictated entirely by external topography, the stubborn resistance of the rocks, the shape of the valley, and the relentless downward pull of gravity. Human choices function exactly the same way. The environment around us, the situations we are placed in, and the biological drives we inherit act as our topography. They pull our reactions and choices out of us. Acknowledging these forces requires admitting a hard truth to the ego. There is no isolated doer sitting inside your mind, manually pushing buttons and pulling the levers of your life. The landscape pulls the flow out of the river. In the same way, the external world pulls our responses out of us. Realizing that you are not the sole author of your life does not mean you lose your purpose. In practice, it offers immense psychological relief. When you face a difficult challenge, you no longer have to internalize it as a personal failure. You can simply observe it as an immovable feature of the landscape, a rock in your path that you naturally need to navigate around. This is what it means to surrender to the flow. When you accept your place within this vast, intelligent pattern, you move forward without fighting the stone, and the daily friction of existence fades. By letting go of the heavy crown, by relinquishing the false role of the absolute doer, the paralyzing pressure of personal responsibility dissolves. Our existence is a deeply shared phenomenon. We are less like isolated computers and more like a single data file stored in a networked cloud, accessed and experienced through a web of connections. In this framework, the individual ceases to be a solitary island and becomes a node in a vast interactive web. We are defined not by our boundaries, but by the myriad of other lives and systems that make our own existence possible. But if our thoughts, ourselves, and our identities are borrowed from the world around us, what is the true nature of the I that we protect so fiercely? If we all depend entirely on each other to exist, if you are not the one flowing, then who is?